Hey, how y'all doing? This is Hunt 919 Truth to Sports coming to you with another segment. Hopefully everybody's having a good day or a good night. Like, comment, and subscribe and all of that good old stuff. Let's get right into it. This is my preseason predictions for why Colorado will lose to Arizona. Let's get right into Arizona. They were 10-3 last year. Very good team, very solid team. And after their loss against USC last year, they won 7 games in a row, including their bowl game. So they're coming into a new season with the winning attitude, winning mentality, winning results. They just had a great season last year. They did go 6-1 at home last year. They were ranked number 11th in the nation. Their only 3 losses came at Mississippi State in overtime by a touchdown. They lost to the number 7 ranked Washington by a touchdown. And they lost at USC, who was ranked number 9 at the time, in overtime by 2. So they were close to having an undefeated season. And they were obviously very competitive. For lack of a better word. So you have to give them credit for what they did last year. And I know last year's last year, but you can always build upon that. So now their wins were very impressive. I just told you who they lost to. They did win at Washington State. They did win against the number 11th ranked Oregon last year. They beat number 20 UCLA. They beat number 16 Utah. They beat number 12 Oklahoma in the Alamo Bowl. So the team was a legit team. Like I said before, they beat ranked teams, and then their losses against ranked teams were very close. So they were in overtime. So they make you beat them. So they was, as I said before, they was close to being 12-0, having an undefeated season. I'm sure that would have put them into the playoffs last year. They did beat Colorado last year at Colorado, 34-31. It was a very good game, nationally televised game. I think I remember it being a late game too. But Noah, the quarterback, went 21 for 35 for 214 yards and 2 touchdowns. Shador went 22 for 35, 262 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jonah Coleman, hopefully I'm not saying the name wrong, outrushed Colorado by getting 179 yards. So they almost put up 200 yards rushing against Colorado last year. And I know it's a revamp team. I'm talking about last year's results. But their real star was their wide receiver, McMillan. He had 9 receptions for 107 yards and 1 touchdown. And most of us just remember catch after catch after catch. I don't think it mattered what defense they put on him. I know it was a lot of catches within zones, but even when they went man-to-man, he was abusing man-to-man last year, so he had a very good game against them. Now, the offense, we're getting right into the offense. They have a very, very, very good quarterback. His name is Noah. I will not mess up his last name, but I will spell it Fifita. He completed 72% of his passes, which is crazy. He finished with 2,869 yards with 25 touchdowns and only 6 interceptions, which is exceptional. His game high as far as yards was 342 yards against Washington State. He also had 354 yards against Oklahoma in the bowl game. His highs as far as touchdowns in the game was 5 against Arizona State. So somebody tell me that those are not exceptional numbers. So the kid can obviously play, get into the running back position. That top transfer that they got out the portal was Jackory, Jacory. His last name is Merritt. He's a running back, senior running back. He ran for 1,100 yards last year and 17 touchdowns. And he caught a touchdown pass I think he only caught 1 touchdown pass from New Mexico last year. That's where he's transferring from. But he had over 1,000 yards and 17 touchdowns. Again, that's exceptional. So they're getting a legit running back to replace what they lost. Their wide receivers, of course, we just talked about. They have one of the best wide receivers in the nation, McMillan, 6'5", Hawaiian. I did not know he was Hawaiian until I did more research. He was an award winner or a finalist in at least 15 different times last year during the season. So like player of the week or, et cetera, et cetera. He kept getting award after award after award, as far as weekly is concerned. He was the FWAA Offensive Freshman of the Year. He was the Pac-12 Freshman of the Year. He also was a Sean Alexander Award finalist. You can look that up, see what that is. He averaged 16 yards a catch. Last year, he had 90 catches for 1,400 yards and 10 touchdowns. exceptional. And if you notice, as I keep talking about this team, I'm keep using the word exceptional because after doing my research, looking at their stats, um, I saw how exceptional they were. So just gotta give credit where it's due. Um, his game high in receptions, no, I think in yards was 266 against Arizona State. So that's saying a lot. And then he had two. The most touchdowns he had in the game was two, which was against Washington. So they have an exceptional wide receiver. The kid can obviously play, and they do go to him on top of having a very good quarterback. The offensive line, they have a guy last name Jones. He's one of the Big 12's best tacklers, so he gets a lot of tackles. You have a guy named Josh Baker at the center position. No, I'm sorry. Jones is a Big 12, one of their best tackles on the offensive line. I'm sorry. Josh Baker is at the center position. They talked a little bit about him. They have a guy named Wendell Moore. They talked about his size. So he's a huge blocker, on the right guard side, going to the right side. So they have size. They have a guy named Raymond who's a tackle. And then after that, they hit the transfer portal pretty hard. But they have a great foundation for the guys who are coming in off the transfer portal. So the offensive line should be able to hold up. Now, they did have 26 sacks last year, so they got some things to work on, of course. And you have to look at film and break that down to figure out why they had 26 sacks. But they had 26 sacks last year, and I just said they're building upon a foundation at the offensive line. As far as defense, last year they was kind of middle of the pack defense. They had a good pass rush, but they were just even kill, nothing that really stood out. They do have a pass rusher that's returning. Trey Smith, he's a transfer from San Jose State. He was a first-team All-Mountain West, and he's also a scholar, 2023 scholar. He has 6.5 sacks last year, always rounded up to 7. I can get into him. I don't understand why you become a first-team all whatever, then you transfer schools. You all know how I feel about that if you follow my channel. If you're doing good where you are, if you have 1,000 yards rushing, if you have 1,000 yards receiving, it may be best for you to stay where you are. Going to a new school does not guarantee anything. Even if you go to a higher level school, you might get lost in the shuffle. Why not stay where you're leading everything? All conference and you're leading your team, et cetera, et cetera. And that's their defense. They do have a got 347 pound. His name is Chuba. He came from UC Davis, so he's gonna be interesting. I know what his last name is. His first name is Chuba. His last name is Maae. 347 pounds on the defensive side of the ball is a huge guy. So he's going to be a guy to look out for, and I'm sure he's going to wear that offensive line down. Then you have a guy named Kevon Darton. He's a transfer from Syracuse. And then again, they got a lot of transfers in for the defensive line. So the offensive line looks good. The defensive line looks good. The running back look good. The wide receivers looks good. The quarterback looks good. So let's stay on the defensive side of the ball. You got the linebackers. You got a 1-2 punch named Jacob Manu. Manu, excuse me if I'm mispronouncing his name. And then you have one named Justin Flo. They're good as any other linebackers in the conference. There's two of the leading guys who should be all conference, or at least they're going to be, preseason all conference linebackers. Manu had 116 tackles, 6.5 sacks last year. And Flo had a career high 47 stops for Arizona last year. So those guys are legit. As far as cornerbacks, you have a guy last name Davis. His first name is Tacario. He's also a pro prospect. He had 15 broken passes up last year, so he's very active back there. If you can't get in interception, as they say, at least knock the ball down. So he obviously is doing very well at that. And as I said, they have him as a pro prospect right now. And then they're loaded at the safety position. They have a guy named Dalton Johnson and a guy named Gunner. I don't want to mess up his last name. They combined for 167 tackles, which is a whole lot. You can either say they're great tacklers, nobody gets by them, or you could say that guys was obviously getting past that defensive front. But either way, they got two legit safeties back there. They have another guy named Treydan, Treydan Stukes. He made 55 stops last year and 9 broken up passes. So they had a legit defense last year. They have a legit team. I think they'll beat Colorado because as far as the quarterback position, the quarterback as far as stats and as far as production in the game matches up against Shador, so he can also nullify that. Arizona has a top receiver. Even I know Colorado has, some good receivers as well. But these guys are proven as far as playing together. So he was one of the top receivers last year. I'm sure he'll be one of the top receivers this year. He's also a pro prospect. And against Colorado, he put up very good numbers. They're also playing at home. So with all of those different combinations, different things, I think Arizona will beat Colorado by 2 to 3 touchdowns, I believe. And that's about it. It's been Hunt 919, Truth to Sports. Ride with me.